So, what is anarchism? By its definition, anarchism is a political ideology that seeks to abolish all forms of authority and hierarchy. Nowadays, that usually means abolishing governments, companies, and churches. Of course, when you say anarchy, the first thing that comes to mind is chaos, is everyone doing fucking whatever they want. But is that really what it's all about? Are anarchists a bunch of crazy people trying to bring forth the downfall of civilization? Well, kind of. I mean, they're not crazy, at least I hope, but you could argue that the goal of anarchism is to bring down our current civilization and replacing it with a new, different one. To understand this better, maybe we should first talk about the pros and cons, shall we? For most people, the cons would be kind of obvious. I mean, most of us are used to living under government and alongside companies and churches, so just thinking about them disappearing, like, it doesn't feel right. I mean, without a government, what would we even do, you know? How would anything work? What would happen without electricity and trash collection, cops? Like, seriously, how could we work without a government? And without companies, how would we work? How would we earn money? How could we eat, you know? How could we get our daily rations of fucking Nutella and Marvel movies or whatever? The truth is that we have really become dependent on them. Just imagining a world without them immediately brings images of chaos and, you know, just everyone fucking going apeshit. Of course, government and other forms of authority are aware of this. It's convenient for them that we are scared of a world without them. They perpetuate these ideas to keep us scared and, you know, under control. But is that what anarchism really is about? Are we incapable of living without a government? Of course, if you ask an anarchist, they will say, no, we are very much capable of living without forms of authority. And there have been civilizations throughout history that lived without any form of traditional government. So let's talk now about the pros of anarchism. The main argument for anarchism is that the forms of authority allow the few to rule over the many, which means that our society is being controlled by a small group of people who act on their own interest. And I mean, that's true. You don't need to be an anarchist to know that right now our world is currently being controlled by like a small group of rich people. So then, what are the alternatives to our current situation? Well, anarchism proposes two ideas as solutions: stateless societies and free associations. The way countries work right now is that all the power of these vast chunks of land are concentrated in a single place, a single city. This inevitably causes that some parts of the country will hog all the resources, while other parts will be completely forgotten. In a stateless society, however, power would be a lot more diluted. Without a centralized government, each settlement would take care of their own needs, decide everything locally. Everything from utilities, resources, and security would be decided by each community. Free associations work pretty much the same way. Instead of a big company that lives in the other side of the world, controlling the land, the natural resources, and the means of production, it would be the workers of the area that would have ownership over them. they would get a say in how to use these resources and how to manage their work. The goal of these ideologies is to redistribute everything in a more equal manner, one which, according to some people, is impossible to achieve in our current society. By the way, all of this has massive environmental implications. Anarchism in general has a lot of other implications regarding gender and race and all of that, but I'll talk about that another day. Anyways, what can we get out of all of this? Anarchism good, capitalism bad? Personally, while I do find myself agreeing with a lot of these points, I still have my qualms about it. But I do think that it's important for people to know that there is an alternative to our current system. More often than not, people tend to think that if we live in a capitalist society, our only alternative is like communism, but no, there are actually a lot of alternatives, and anarchism is one of them. Whether it's a good or bad alternative, that's up to you to decide, but at least now you know.